Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into a story today that honestly hooks you from the very first second by establishing the absolute ultimate stakes of human existence, receiving a terminal diagnosis. It's a heavy premise, I know, but going through this source material completely shifted how I view time, work, and legacy. And we're going to unpack all of it together right now. So picture this. It's the 1950s. We're in a small Japanese clinic. A man named Kanji is sitting quietly while his doctor nervously fumbles with a medical report, literally unable to look him in the eye. The tragic truth? Kanji has incurable stomach cancer. He has exactly 5 months left to live. But the wild thing is, he doesn't panic. He just sits there, completely still, wondering if this is truly how his story is going to end. Okay, let's dive into this, because the real tragedy here actually lies in the 30 years prior. You see, for 3 decades, Kanji basically lived his life on autopilot as a government section chief. His colleagues literally called him the mummy. Why? Because he worked like an emotionless robot, sacrificing every ounce of his own happiness just for the mere illusion of job security. And honestly, nothing symbolizes those wasted years better than a dusty, completely ignored file requesting a simple children's playground. Local mothers had been begging the government to turn this muddy, unsanitary vacant lot into a safe place for kids to play. And Kanji's response? The classic bureaucratic black hole. He just filed it away. For decades, he actively avoided doing any real work. Now, carrying the massive weight of this diagnosis, Kanji goes home, desperately hoping to find some comfort in his son. But as he stands right outside his son's bedroom, he freezes. He overhears his son and daughter-in-law talking, but they aren't worried about his health. Instead, they are greedily plotting exactly how they're going to spend his pension money after he dies. That ultimate betrayal, it completely shatters him. Pushed right into the abyss, Kanji decides that if he's going to die, he's finally going to live for himself for once. So he withdraws a massive chunk of his lifetime savings and heads straight into the city's nightlife, just desperately trying to buy that feeling of joy he denied himself for 30 long years. Cut to a nightclub. An overwhelmed, weeping Kanji ends up confessing his illness to a musician he literally just met. The musician looks at him, takes a long pause, and delivers this profound turning point of a quote. He says, "People don't die when they stop breathing. They die when they stop living." But you know what? All those bright lights and partying, it just feels completely hollow to him. Feeling entirely alone in this crowded room, he tips the band to play a song from his childhood, all about how incredibly brief life really is. As he tearfully sings it, the entire bustling nightclub falls completely silent. In that moment, he realizes that empty pleasure just isn't the answer. Still desperately searching for some kind of meaning, Kanji has a fateful encounter with a young woman who actually used to work with him at that stifling government office. And he's shocked. He's shocked by how alive and vibrant she looks. When he asks why she left such a secure job, she tells him she now works in a small toy factory. Sure, the pay is lower, the security is way less, but she is radiantly, undeniably happy. And here is the kicker as to why. She shows him this simple stuffed rabbit. She tells him she loves children. And while she obviously can't be with every child in the world, making these toys means she's leaving a small piece of herself behind. Her work brings absolute joy, even when she isn't physically there. Holding that little toy rabbit, Kanji's mind just flashes right back to that muddy, gross, vacant lot. He remembers watching a young child trip in a pothole there and start crying. And in that exact moment, it hits him. He has his ultimate epiphany. He knows exactly what his legacy must be. He is going to build that playground. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is breaking down the ferocious urgency of Kanji's final sprint against death. He only has 3 months left. Month 1 is spent exhaustively digging up all that forgotten paperwork. Month 2, it's a total war of attrition. He is fighting bureaucrats, flat out refusing to take no for an answer just to get the necessary stamps. And month 3 is the actual construction, out in the bitter snow as his body is rapidly failing him. And let me tell you, the journey is absolutely brutal. At one point, local thugs confront Kanji. They physically beat him, leaving him bloodied, and threaten his life if he doesn't drop the project. But Kanji, he simply dusts himself off, looks them dead in the eye, and says, "I will not stop." He has finally found his purpose, and there is no going back. And he doesn't stop. Against all odds, he secures every single signature. The mud gets cleared, the boundaries are drawn, and the swings are built. Then, on a freezing winter night, with snow gently falling all around him, Kanji walks right into the finished playground. He sits down on one of the swings, he looks out at what he has built, a gentle smile spreads across his face, and he begins to sing that childhood song one last time. Having successfully created his legacy, he dies peacefully, right there on the swing. Now, the real tragic irony of it all happens at his funeral. His clueless former colleagues actually stand around trying to steal the credit for the playground. They entirely miss the point of the heroic, solitary transformation he underwent. But Kanji's son, standing there watching children playing on those swings from afar, he finally understands his father's quiet greatness. So, the crucial point is, how do we actually apply Kanji's awakening to our own lives right now? Because we definitely don't want to wait for a terminal diagnosis, right? Well, the source material breaks this down into an actionable strategy called the LAST framework. 4 simple steps to ensure we don't waste our precious time. Let's walk through that. The L stands for look at the end. Borrowing from Stephen Covey's famous philosophy to begin with the end in mind, you really have to stop and ask yourself the uncomfortable question, if my story were ending soon, what do I actually want my life to look like? You absolutely have to define your finish line first. Next up is A. Align with your strengths. Remember, Peter Drucker always advised this. Kanji didn't find meaning in forced partying, did he? No. He found it by leveraging his 30 years of deep, insider, bureaucratic knowledge. He knew exactly how the system worked, so he used that highly specific strength to push the playground through when no one else could. Then we have the S, which stands for serve others. Trying to just buy his own happiness left Kanji feeling completely empty. His life only gained real momentum when he stopped asking, what do I want? And finally started asking, whose life can I make better? Serving others is what truly unlocks our potential. And finally, the T stands for think beyond yourself. This ties in so beautifully with the Japanese concept of ikigai, your reason for being, that profound sense of purpose that gets you out of bed in the morning. By building a playground that would completely outlast him, Kanji created a real legacy. Thinking beyond your own lifespan provides the ultimate energy to truly live, and it gives you strength even in your darkest, most painful phases. Now, to help you actively apply all of these leadership concepts rather than just passively thinking about them, the creator of our source material offers a few practical resources. They outline a 21-day implementation challenge and a subscription resource called Summary Board, which gives you access to over 70 book summaries to keep you on track. Which brings us to our final and maybe most important takeaway today. Kanji waited 30 years and needed a literal death sentence to finally start living. But you don't have to wait. So I want to leave you with this lingering, provocative question. What legacy are you building with your remaining time? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.